Right. Hello, everybody. I hope you guys are having a wonderful start to your weekend. I'm so sorry about the technical difficulties coming in. As you can see, I'm in a different set. I'm currently actually in Hong Kong. I've been urgently flown here to take care of my elderly grandma. So I had to really put together a streaming setup from scratch. But I really did want to come on stream and do this segment for you guys because I think there's something really important to share here. It's something that I had to figure out from like a lot of brainstorming and a lot of figuring out like exactly how to make my team space for the Coextreme family to really enhance collaboration. And I really want to show you guys how you guys can do it too, because I think there's something valuable and unique to share, especially if you guys are using Notion at work, in an organization, whether for your nonprofit, for your workplace, even for your personal family. How can you really make effective spaces that help everybody see what they need to see at a moment's glance, and also be able to execute effectively on your vision, whatever you have to do. So also, just letting you know, it seems like my frame rate is kind of like pretty bad. I don't know if I'm really jittering or anything. You let me know, and I can see what I can do to tweak the settings. But aside from that, I'll do my best to just give you guys, ready, make sure you guys have everything you need to go ahead and fulfill what you need to fulfill for your Notion workspace, and keep it healthy, keep it optimized, and keep it ready for you to do your best work. So without further ado, let's just get straight into it. As always, as you guys know, I like to go with the why, what, and hows, just to make sure that I can really go down to the nitty-gritty and explain what exactly we want to do here. So the first big why is, well, we want to ensure collaboration and co-creation is as accessible, right, as possible for all members of the team in an organization and multiple teams. We want to ensure, we want to help everyone not get overwhelmed, right, by complex pages and multiple different layers of information. We want to help, I think the last one would be like, you want to help make sure maintenance, right, on a system is streamlined and easy. Okay, so what are we doing here? Basically, we will create systematic organizational layers inside Notion called workspaces to help house users within the Coextreme family will need to interact and help, just help, help, I think, simple as that. Also, we need to create a written document, right, that explains the organizational process, so anyone new can add pages with ease. Okay, and then how we're going to do it, basically we will just go ahead, we're going to create I'm gonna just start with create 2 workspaces, right, and I'll continue showing more. I'll create 2 team spaces with their unique permissions, and then, but before that, we want to brainstorm the permissions management of the team spaces we need. We're going to create 2 of them with their unique permissions, and then finally we're going to publish a document that enables anyone inside the community to understand the hierarchy. Okay, So if you guys have any questions about that, feel free to ask inside the chat. But basically, just to keep it short, what I'm trying to do is really just break down the whole process of exactly what we need here, how we're going to move forward, and how we're going to ensure that, not only is there a consistent thing for today, but there's also going to be, good planning first, right? To make sure there's something consistent for today, but also make sure that it's something that will can last through the lifetime of the Teamspaces that we do have here. So I think without further ado, let's go ahead and show you what I currently have. Permissions. What I currently have and how I'm going to tweak it to really make sure that you guys have the right information. So I have something complicated here. I want to show you that basically I kind of brainstormed, this is how I started brainstorming. I started brainstorming from I think January 5th. So I was like, how do I really make sure that everything is clean and consistent, and how do we make sure that everything moves forward? So we're only going to focus on collaboration and co-creation. There's a few first principles I kind of want to share when it comes to designing team spaces for your organization, and I want to kind of write them out as well at the same time maybe, and give you the understanding. So let me go to our design system, which you saw last week, and I'm actually going to go into here and make some first principles. So let's see, team spaces. Okay, so the first principle here is or fundamentals. Let's go from here. Fundamentals is permission management at the team space level should always be encompassing of the biggest group necessary. So what do I mean by that? So for example, let's say you have a Notion team space, or Notion workspace rather. And right now inside your Notion workspace, you have everyone there is let's say an employee, right? Or a colleague at the workplace. Then what you're going to have is different subgroups, right? You're going to have a development team, you're going to have a design team, you're going to have a marketing team, you're going to have a whatever. And whatever that group is, that group, whichever the biggest group has let's say, okay, first of all those groups should be actually part of the members. So what happens when you create a team space? And let me show you. So I'm going to use the example for a collaboration team space. Okay, so I'm going to say team space settings here. So you can see that there's a bunch of different ways that you can make a team space. It can be default, which means everyone must be a member the moment that they join. Again, so any person that's part of the organization automatically is a member of the space. It can be open, meaning that anyone can see it and they can then join it, which means that they don't get overloaded when they first come into your workspace. It can be closed, which means that people can see it and they can't really join, or it can be private, where only the specific members can see that exists. So what I want to talk about here is that for at least my organization, what I want to do is I wanted to make sure that everybody inside CoX3, or anybody that has access to CoX3, can see pretty much everything and can pretty much comment on everything. So why I decided to go through that route is because I thought that it will be more transparent and it will be easier for everybody to be able to, dabble in different parts of what CoX3 is doing, right? If they're able to see what CoX3 is doing at all times. Now, for you, it might be a bit different. So remember, for your members, you want to make sure that everyone is that needs to be part of the group is part of the group at a base layer. But definitely, you don't want to put the the more, I guess, administrative permissions at that team space level. So again, just to confirm, you have 4 permissions to choose from. For me personally, I like to choose between default for most of the general spaces, and then closed for the ones that are more specific to specific I guess groups inside our community. But for the most part, you really want to make sure that when it comes to the administrative functions, okay, you just want to be able to go ahead and let's see, let me show you as well. So let's say we had leaders. So if I add them here into this team, I want to just show you something quickly. Let's see if I edit them. Yeah, you can't be Teamspace owners. Okay. I think even if I remove them, we'll be fine. Sorry, let's just try something. Yeah, everyone must be a leader. I must be part of this. Okay, basically what I'm trying to share here is that I'm trying to make this as clear as possible, maybe, but let me try saying it this way. So basically, when it comes to the Teamspace, you want to handle the membership to it. So you see that I actually have a couple columns here, which I really recommend that you do as well when you start planning out your workspaces. So first of all, I say like, okay, so this is going to be a Teamspace. Is there any public access to it? Again, usually Teamspaces will not give you public access or private access. So that's not something that I would add in the top. I'll say not applicable. Okay. Members, what can the members do? What can generally members who should be part of this group be able to do? So for me, for our collaboration Teamspace, which I'll explain what collaboration Teamspace means, everyone should be able to comment, okay? Next, is there any leaders for the Teamspace itself? And again, it's usually NA for that, because one, you're not really able to add leadership permissions at that layer anyways, but also what you really want to do is you want to make sure that each specific section underneath your main Teamspace is able to have its own kind of leadership structure, and I'll explain what that looks like. So I'm just going to quickly add some formatting here. Okay, cool. So basically what I want to say here then is you always have one layer first of Teamspace. So the hierarchy is hierarchy of the Teamspace should be as follows. So you have the Teamspace, and then you have a directory, which then shows you all what's happening within that Teamspace. What can you possibly do, right? And then under each one, you're going to have your information pages. So what we're going to do here is we're going to have information pages, and then inside each one, you have your action pages, okay? Okay, and then, so the reason why we do it this way is we want to make sure that there's clear ways of finding information in every single Teamspace, no matter where you are inside the organization. So the moment you land into your Teamspace, you need a directory that shows you where everything is, who's involved in this specific Teamspace, and what you do here. So let me give you an example, right? I have a boilerplate or a template for how you can generate a new workspace directory. So our Teamspace directory. So what you have basically is first a mission statement. So you want to explain what you want to do inside this directory. You also want to have like a little welcome statement just to give people information on what exactly you do here. Then you want to get started. Usually I break down my get started into 3 different categories of things you can do. So for our community, it's very clear on the 3 themes that we like to hammer on, which is, how can we help you gain more knowledge? How can we help you take action on that knowledge? And how can we help you as a community not have to struggle alone in that process of growing and leveling up? Then we have the section where we talk about who we are. So if anyone needs to know who we are, what we do here, people can easily find that here as well. They can join events and get involved in that. So that's also awesome as well. And then, any additional information that people might want to follow, that's also pretty good as well. So that's usually how we handle, a Teamspace directory. Then the next thing is the information pages, which is then when you start clicking in to anything inside under Get Started, you should be able to get to the information, right? We should be able to explain like, okay, exactly, if I want to try out immediately, how can I jump straight into it? You can also understand like, why was this even built? What does it do? And how can you start? And I think that's very, very important, because because usually when you go into any directories and you start seeing a lot of different pages and a lot of different information inside each one, I don't know about you, but I always find the questions like, why was this even built in the first place? What is this for? And having those specific kind of layouts to answer these questions are pretty clear and pretty important to make sure that these are ways that we can really help people as they go through the system and as they go through, and we really want to try to collaborate and help each other, grow and learn. Then the next thing is, you see that there's this try it out button, which then leads to the how you can start. This title of the resource usually will then lead you to the action page, link to the resource, I can say action page. So when you link to the action page, what happens is you're able to then go and say, hey, how can I actually use this thing? And what's really important for me when I look at these action pages is I really want to break them down into use cases and really no more than 3. So on this action page, what are the 3 main things that I can do to really make sure that I am doing my best and taking action on whatever needs to be done there? So let me give you an example for like a normal organization, and I'll give you an example for what we might have, right? So in a normal organization, what might be interesting for you is like you might have a directory, you might have a place where you have, let's say, a content creation kind of pipeline, let's say, okay? So you have a content creation pipeline and you need everyone to get involved. So then you have an information page that says, okay, well, why do we build this? Because we wanted to have a information pipeline. What does it do? Then these are the stages of how we create content. And how can you start? Okay, if you're, a creator, if you're an editor, if you're if you are a distributor, how can exactly you get involved in each process? This is how you might talk about it here. And then when you go to the action page, then you also have those different database views that allow you to actually take action on those certain things. So let me give you an example of what we have. And this is something that I am pretty proud of. So let me show you inside our public collaboration page. Let's say here. So as an example, and I'm going to start going into more fine detail about what we specifically have now as well, but basically what I've chosen to do for our Teamspace is I've broken down into 2 main sections. We have our collaboration section and our co-creation section. So our collaboration section is, let's go back to the system architecture I want to show you, is the one where all our members are able to comment on everything. So again, this could be your own, specific user groups. But for me, I said, hey, everyone in the CoX3 family should be able to see what we're working on. And in that sense, they should be able to comment on, everything that requires collaboration. So collaboration for me means like I want everyone's input. I want to see how everyone thinks about each one of these resources that we're building up. And we're going to have leaders and moderators within each space to then go in and help really take in the feedback and improve it and really make our resources better. I want to also explain at this point perhaps why I want specific leaders and moderators and then team. Like, what does that mean? Like, why did I break that up into 3 specific sections? So I think what I can explain here now under these team spaces, maybe being necessary administrative permissions should always be accommodating members, users, permissions at the team center. And then the example is, what do you want? Who will be mostly using the Teamspace? How will they be using it? So again, as I mentioned just earlier, how I look at this is the community will be using it everybody for us, and how they'll be using it, they want to comment on it. Administrative permissions should be handled per action page. Okay, so per information / action page. Okay, and then what we want to do here is we also want to explain what the permission management hierarchy is. So permission management hierarchy is generally going to be public. Then we have our members, then we have our leaders, then we have our moderators, and then we have our team. So basically, the way that I think about this, and I'm going to explain it like so. Moderators and then team. Okay, perfect. What we have here basically is the public basically is this for each information, for each page, decide if you would want this to be publicly viewed. Again, usually if you're not working in public, you wouldn't need this as a resource. But for me, because I like working in public, I think this is very important. And then for members, we want to say like which groups within your Notion workspace should have access to this page. Actually, I will look at a question. Does this page and its subsets and subpages need to be publicly viewable? Okay. Leaders is okay, so I want to make it clear what leaders and moderators and team members do for the Teamspace here. So basically I came up with this hierarchy because I realized that it was very, very difficult to actually maintain a lot of the pages within our directory, and I'm sure a lot of people have had this issue as well. So what I came up with eventually was, okay, so there's usually two problems when it comes to collaborative team spaces. I'm not talking about co-creation team spaces. I'll talk about that soon as well, where everyone can edit. But for the ones where everyone can comment, is because they are especially sensitive kind of pages that you don't really want any one to accidentally delete stuff or add stuff that is unsavory, or you just really want a high level of moderation. That's generally what a collaborative team space is. So we actually also explain that here. Team space types: collaborative, and then co-creative. Okay, so collaborative for me just means that it is high value pages that require heavy moderation. This is moderate value pages that do not require heavy moderation. Okay, so again, the difference is something collaborative would be something like your brand guide for your organization. You don't need everybody like really tinkering on that, right? Especially you don't need all the users. Okay, how about this? Pages that require heavy moderation, and each user should not be directly tinkering on it. And each user should not directly users should members. Okay, members should. I'm actually going to drag this below so I can move this down here. Members should be able to use the space, but not directly edit. Okay, and members should be able to use the space and directly edit. Again, the difference is something where you want to be more co-creative is things that like everyone should have like input on. Everyone should be able to like edit directly. Examples I have are like we have like these fun databases within the community that allow you to put your role models in there, right? Like, who do you admire? You have a meditation list, what are the different meditation, things that people are following and stuff like that. So stuff like that's more like, open-ended, and we want everyone to really just come in and throw their information and, see where it lands. But the collaborative ones are the ones that like, we really want to have good information clarity in there, and we don't want to just randomly put stuff in and have like database clutter. So stuff like, our goal setting for the community, stuff like our brand guide, stuff like, our theme library even, right? So like stuff that we need some moderation, and we want to, take some time to throw it in. Our academy for sure, right? It's just information that isn't, we would be more of high value, and we really don't want to accidentally lose that information just in case anything does happen to it. So generally people that we deem to be leaders of a specific section, whether it be for the academy, whether it be for different like verticals within our organization, there'll be people so leaders are individuals that have consistently submitted valuable feedback through commenting, right? Through suggestions, and then for us is via commenting. Okay, and then they will have ad hoc permissions for those that they have demonstrated knowledge and competence in. Okay, moderators on the other hand, individuals that have made great use of their editing permissions. They'll have editing permissions for the specific pages that they're competence in, for specific pages, and now and thus have editing permissions for the entire vertical that they have, and again, demonstrated knowledge and competence in. Okay, and then finally the team members are individuals that manage the full permissions, right? That have full access of the vertical, and manage the permission and provide and manages the permissions of the vertical to enable leaders and moderators to thrive. So basically the take on it is we have this yeah, I know, Michael. Definitely, like I think it would be great if we could have like passworded to edit, but I'm not sure that's actually the best way as well. And I want to explain why. I think that's actually a really good question, and thank you for asking that. Well, the first thing is like passwords can easily get lost. I think that's the biggest problem. And I think what happens is if we're able to have like a management hierarchy, we can actually define specific user groups to be specific, members here. So I'm going to apply this, and I'm going to show this like how I have this table to map out everything. And again, I think everyone should have a table like this to really help map out. But basically, as you can see, I have an example, right? Like, let's just use themes, right? So as a community, we built some Notion themes to make your Notion experience more exciting. So we have this theme library, which is like first it's an information page, and then we take action. But then we have, we want it to be public. We want it to be commentable by the public. We want there to be a theme leader, right? So a theme leader, for example, so first everyone can come in and comment and, take a Notion theme. That's simple, that's easy. But then maybe we have some people that come in and say, hey, I want to submit a theme. So they are actually a theme leader, right? They edit their own theme page that they have, and they can consistently improve that theme page if they want onto and add new information. We also have people that then come in and say, hey, I've really modified some of those themes, and I have some valuable input, and they've been commenting and giving that valuable feedback. And then we ask that person who's that existing leader of that theme and says, hey, do you want this person to also come in and be an editor? So you don't have to, you don't have to always just approve their edits, but rather you can go in and they can just edit directly and they can say yes or no. The next thing after that is the moderator, right? So let's say I'm someone that has created like 3 or 5 themes already, and I've demonstrated that I really know how to create a great theme, and I know how to organize the information so that anybody in the community can come in and learn from this amazing theme and use it. Then they can be a moderator, right? We can elevate them to become a moderator, and they can actually jump in and edit pretty much everything inside the theme library because they have demonstrated that they have great competence in this area. But for someone to be able to move between theme, like a normal member, to a theme leader, to a theme moderator, you need someone that can have the full permissions to give them the support, to give them the permission management to do those things. And that we need a theme builder, which is a team member that actually comes in and enables this kind of collaboration. So again, why I have 3 layers is because it really helps me fine tune like who is a person that specifically manages one thing, who is a person that then edits everything in this whole vertical, and then who's a person giving these permissions for the editing. So for me, that makes it very, very clear, and I highly, highly recommend everyone to kind of follow this framework because it just makes so much sense for me, and it took me a while to come up with this and a lot of trial and error, and I am pretty positive this is one of the best ways to do it, and I'd be happy to learn more from other people as well, but definitely this is something that makes a lot of sense to me. Okay, so we talked about public members, leaders, moderators, team. I also want to talk about on what layer does everyone get permissions on, because obviously if you get permission on the information page, you also get permissions on the action. So generally any permissions are given, so I'm going to also talk about it like this. So generally any permissions, okay, well actually I should do it this way. Remember, any permissions given to a page will also be applied to its subpages. So typically you should provide permissions at the highest level of the vertical. So example will be, so the example is typically moderators will have, typically leaders will have, leaders will be well, there's no typical here actually. Yeah, I think this is fine. High level of the vertical, we explained that. So typically provide, okay, so we have that. Then we have Teamspace types. Should be use space, not directly edit, not use space and directly edit. Use space. Using the space typically means that using the space typically means that they are able to take action with the permissions that they have. So some things that's where it's a so actually so for example, the collaborative team spaces are the places where people should be able to give input, right? Members should be giving input to the resources found inside the team space, utilize the information, usually, okay, should be able to use the information found in the resources, should be able to use the resources inside the team space as well as provide feedback. directly. Provide feedback via commenting. So for me, like again, using it means that you can read it, right? You can, so I'm gonna use that in Teamspace. So read, read, reference, etc. Okay, so that's that. And then where co-creative is, members should be able to use, actually I should be able to read, reference, etc. Then for this one, members should be able to edit these resources directly. So actually, I would rather say it as members get value by reading, reference, etc. So reading, referencing, etc. So members here get value by being able to edit the resources directly. So again, like I think the way that I will say it is, you know, there are some resources that are valuable just because you can reference them, right? You don't really need to edit them. But there's other ones where you get value by actually being able to edit them directly. And that should be what is a co-creative Teamspace versus a collaborative Teamspace. And of course, there's other like traditional types of Teamspace. All right, so let me just also talk about that. So Teamspace, I wouldn't call it maybe subtypes. So Teamspace types is obviously default, open, closed, and private. Use these ones when every member inside your workspace are should be members of this Teamspace. Are members. Oh. Can be versus should be. When all members, then close when some members should be members of this Teamspace. And actually I'm going to bold these, all members should be members. Okay, this one is when all members can be members, so that's a bit different. And then when some members should be members. And everyone. Every member in the workspace should know of this Teamspace. And this one is should not know of this English. Okay, so that's how I'm breaking it up to really teach you how you can use the different Teamspace types. But ultimately, what's really important for me and what I found the most fascinating when I was going through this is, for me, generally everything's just going to be either default or closed. I don't really care about open because I don't think people have time to actually go and find different Teamspaces to join. I think that's like a later thing when we have like really like small subgroups and everything. I think for now it's fine. But definitely for you know, Teamspace subtypes, that's really important for me because it makes me understand, like on a high level, should everyone have edit permissions or everyone have creative permission, you know, comment permissions. It doesn't mean that people can't end up, you know, editing, but specific groups, you know, are able to then, you know, actually let me say that. Leaders / moderators can get value by directly editing the relevant resources, right? Okay, and then yeah, and that's not to say co-creative spaces don't also have people that can come in and edit as well, but the main thing is what happens is in general, people have more of a playground feel. So co-creative is more of like a playground field. Everyone can come in and edit whatever needs to be edited. And collaborative is people can only edit specific, people can only comment, right? I actually can add one more layer that I want to share before I kind of end this stream. And hopefully you guys have some value out of this as well. But the main thing is I want to kind of share that you can also have one more additional thing where members can edit the resources directly, but also database contents directly only as well, so they don't end up being able to change the format of the entire thing. And I think actually we should do that. Yeah, we should do that. And directly edit database contents. I think that's what I'm looking for. Pages and or database contents. Excuse me. Ooh. So I think the eureka moment I just had here was, I think it is still dangerous to allow like just editing fully on every single page, because people can accidentally make mistakes, and that's okay. We just want to make sure that we're protecting everyone. So what I actually am going to recommend here is I'm actually going to change this right now to can comment, and then specific pages, then we will give everyone edit access. I think that's cool. Edit the resources directly, and then what kind of permissions do they need to be effective? Okay, so the reason why I'm specifying only action pages is because generally the format of the pages, the regular users don't really change. And what I've realized over a lot of time is, even if you give like 1,000 people access to edit something, typically the only use that you'll see is people accidentally deleting things and changing things, and not necessarily doing it in a productive manner. And that's something that I think also scares a lot of people, because they end up worrying that then they'll destroy something or break something, which I don't want that to be something that they worry about as well. So what my recommendation here actually is, since Notion allows you to edit database contents directly, the format of everything shouldn't really be changed by the general user. They should be rather users of the specific research and be able to go and edit the directory itself. And I think, or not the directory, but the database contents themselves. I think that will be the way that they can get the most value out of the system. Yeah. All right, very cool. I hope that everyone learned something here. Definitely, I will do my best to also share this public free for everyone. Actually, this is already shared publicly, so you guys can feel free to kind of learn from the Teamspaces hierarchy here. I'm also going to, actually, let me just share this public page. Here we go. So that's the page publicly. And then what I also want to add here is I want to show everyone the system architecture that I have come up with so that everyone can see it if they do need to see it and they want to get access to, like, you know, exactly how the current structure of everything is right now. So let me go ahead and let me make these information pages as well before I copy them over. Okay, cool. Let me then just move this database over. I think I need to make a copy anyway, so I'm going to make a copy. And then here, I'm going to make a copy here and paste it here. And we're going to call this one our workspace organization. And then I'm going to, this one was my personal one as a test. So I'm just going to delete these two. And then let's see, keep deleting them. Okay, cool. So there is no personal workspace here now. And we have everything here, perfect. And everyone can see the permission management as we go along. Workspace, permissions management, and actually workspace, workspace organization, I think, actually. So this is our okay, and then we have our table of contents here. So fundamentals. Okay, workspace organization, and then I'm going to have one more actually here that I'm going to call this one our permissions management. And then here is where we're going to actually start making these into relations. And the cool thing is we're going to start having like a nice little table of like who's our leaders in our community, who's the moderators, who's the team members, and what specific permissions they have in terms of what they can edit. And I think that'll be very, very cool, and that will really help us start really building out some strong collaboration opportunities for the community. So yeah, I hope this was helpful for you if you're building your own kind of resource for your community as well, or for your organization. I definitely can tell you this has transformed the way that I work. So hopefully it does for you as well, and really just make sure everyone can get together and do their best work and make life a little more fun. That's it from me, guys. Thank you very much for watching, and please have a wonderful start to your weekend, and I look forward to chatting with you guys real soon. Please take care. Bye now.